Welcome, everyone, to the Castle of Spirits Extrasode number 1. This Extrasode is brought to you by Castle of Spirits podcast episode number 15, wherein we discuss all things Bloody Mary.
We sure did.
And for this Extrasode, which is just what we're calling them for now, please don't allow us to continue to call them Extrasodes. Please submit to us through the lounge what we should call these extra episodes, where we are going to read you stories from the Castle of Spirits archive, as well as your emails and whatever else strikes our little fancies. I have one here called My Sister's Slumber Party. And we just received this one in the lounge. We put out a call for Bloody Mary stories, and we just got this one recently. It's submitted by Anonymous, and it says, "This happened about 8 years ago when I was 16. My sister Jackie was just turning 13 and was celebrating with a sleepover with her two best friends, Macy and Kenzie. I, being the big sister, decided to play pranks on them while they watched movies in the dark living room. Because, that's what big sisters are for, right? After making ghost sounds around the corner and throwing little things at them from a hiding place, we all laughed and decided to tell ghost stories. After all, that's what sleepovers are for. We spent the next 30 minutes or so sitting on the floor in a circle, holding a flashlight to the bottom of our faces and telling story after story. On Macy's next turn, she asked if we knew about Bloody Mary. Jackie and Kenzie said no, but I, of course, knew all about Bloody Mary. Macy explained the basics of the game, and I could tell Jackie and Kenzie were excited by the idea of trying it out, so I decided to freak them out just a little more first. I told them about the year I turned 13. I'd had a sleepover then, too, and we'd tried summoning Bloody Mary. In reality, nothing happened, and we all laughed about it, but I made up all kinds of ghoulish things just to freak them out. They didn't really buy it, but they were ready to try it for themselves. We all went into the bathroom. There were no windows, so it was very dark. I turned on the flashlight and stood it on end on the floor next to the sink. This way it didn't shine into our eyes and gave us just enough light to be able to make out our faces in the mirror. Of course, they made me call Bloody Mary while they stood behind me. I had planned on chanting, "Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary," and then faking like I was in a trance or something. But after I finished the chant, I just kind of stood there looking in the mirror. No one moved or made a sound. Suddenly, I was sure I could see a shadow of a person standing behind my sister on my left. I could tell it wasn't a shadow on the wall. I could just tell it was a solid form. As I looked at it, I could see, or thought I could anyway, the shadow getting taller. I just watched it for what felt like 10 minutes, but was probably 10 seconds. Macy and Kenzie on my right were starting to get antsy and asked if I could see anything. I realized then that none of the girls saw the shadow. I asked Jackie, "Do you see that?" And she freaked out, turned on the bathroom light, and we all ran into the hall. They all said they didn't see anything and accused me of just trying to scare them again, which I guess was fair. I really don't know what I saw that night. I do know it wasn't a shadow of any of us. I've never seen it again, but ever since, I hate being in a bathroom or any room with a mirror with the lights out. Thank you, Anonymous, for submitting that. That was great. What did you think, Vince?
Well, there you go again. It has all the hallmarks of a traditional Bloody Mary story.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the sleepover, you've got the teenage girls, and just the desire or the interest in the occult or the desire to see something out of the ordinary. And when you pair those things together, mix them all together, it's a recipe for potential disaster.
Yeah. It's interesting that she sees the shadow, in the background.
Yeah.
The skeptic in me wants to say, well, it could have been a shadow, but I understand what she's talking about, how you can just tell that something is solid and not a shadow. And she said she was watching and it kind of seemed to get taller. So I don't know. I liked that. It was definitely more eventful than our Bloody Mary episode tonight.
It was. It really was.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, I'm jealous.
For reals, yeah.
I, on the other hand, have also discovered a story on the Castle of Spirits website.
You did?
That is about Bloody Mary.
Let's hear it.
This one's called Just a Legend, with a question mark.
Mm-hmm.
It was submitted by Ryan in Nevada in August of 2004. It was quite a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Listen up. It goes a little something like this.
Oh, boy.
Plenty of people are familiar with the classic Bloody Mary legend, the one where kids dare each other to turn out the lights, stare into a mirror, and say Bloody Mary 5 or 10 times. The movie Candyman is based on this old legend. We talked about that in episode 15.
Mm-hmm. We did.
Anyway, this occurrence happened when I was in grade school. My friend and I were playing in the yard at recess time, and after a while, we landed on the subject of Bloody Mary.
I mean, that's kind of what happens, yeah.
We both knew the legend well and had heard a few tall tales from other kids, but we never took it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But since we brought it up, we decided to try it out in one of the school restrooms. Not a good idea.
Well, I think 99% of Bloody Mary firsts take place in school bathrooms.
You know, I have nightmares about grade school bathrooms.
The
to this
bathroom
day.
in the elementary school I went to was terrifying. I can still remember it. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Frightening places.
Mm-hmm.
Once inside, and when we were sure that no other kids were present, we turned off the lights and we began the ritual. I asked my friend, how are we supposed to do it? And he replied, just say Bloody Mary 10 times, followed by, open the bloody gates of hell.
Ooh, that's a step up.
That's asking for trouble right there, I'm just saying.
It really is.
Then she's supposed to appear.
Kids are daring, man.
I shuddered at the way it sounded. It reminded me of what some occultists do in movies. Those movies always led to an unfortunate consequence. So I stepped up to the darkened mirror and began reciting Bloody Mary 10 times. I did this rather slowly, and after the 10th repetition I said, open the bloody gates of hell, as instructed by my friend. Nothing happened. At first, which means that something did happen.
Yeah, I got that.
With some disappointment, I walked over to my friend in the dark and sat down on the tile floor beside him. I started to joke about the dumb ritual, as did he. But during a moment of silence, we both heard this weird sound. And now weird sounds in kids' bathrooms are not that unusual, I'm just saying, but I'm got an open mind. I'm going to continue. Right. It was like a gurgling sound, but with no words. The sound instantly made me think of a woman groaning with her throat slit open.
Ew.
Now, kid, you shouldn't be thinking about these things at that age. No. But anyway, you know, I was a weird kid too. So I kind of identify with this guy. Anyway, to continue, the sound was rather distant, but audible. The girls' restroom was at the other end of the building, so it didn't come from there. I asked my friend if he'd heard what I heard, and he said, yep. So we decided to get out of this haunted restroom right away.
I mean, it's haunted because you just asked for the bloody gates of hell to be opened.
I know, right? What do they expect?
I mean, yeah.
Kids these days. Kids those days. Once we reached the door, another student walked in and turned the light back on. Oh, that's not good. To be discovered with your buddy in a dark bathroom at school. Oh, God, this is not going to end well. So we told the kid about the gurgle sound, but he just thought it was a joke.
Right.
In later weeks, we talked about it, and we agreed never to try the Bloody Mary ritual again. The image I had of this woman was similar to the one in Carrie. Stephen King's Carrie, directed by Brian De Palma. Don't watch any other version.
Right.
The part where Sissy Spacek is covered in pig's blood. That image haunted me at night for some time.
You know, that's kind of what I picture too, I think. Not Sissy Spacek specifically, but yeah, the blood doused. Yeah.
I've heard that the tale behind this ritual concerns a young woman named Mary, obviously.
That's him, Elizabeth, that's...
Oh, yeah, well, you know. Who was murdered in her own bathroom. The murderer slashed her throat. This guy's got a fascination with slashed throats. Spewing blood everywhere. After butchering Mary's body, he hid her corpse in the attic. It's unclear whether the murderer was ever caught.
I hope so.
That's just a legend as I know it.
Yeah.
I still know people who refuse to participate in Bloody Mary, and these people are adults. So I guess what does that say about you and I, Jen?
Well, I know adults who were like, nope, hard pass, won't.
Right, but what did we just do? Did we just mess with something? And we opened
we
up the
didn't
gates
ask
of
for
hell?
the bloody gates of hell to be opened.
But what if maybe Bloody Mary? Okay.
And if you missed that, we performed Bloody Mary at the end of episode 15. Anyway.
So the story wraps up. Honestly, I wouldn't mind doing it again, as long as the lights remain on.
I mean, the lights off are part of the
fun of the whole thing.
Part of it. But that was a good story. I liked it.
Thank you, Ryan and Nevada, from August 2004. If you ever tried it again as an adult,
we'd love to hear about it. So I have another one. This is Bloody Mary Experience 2. It's not a part 2. It's number 2 because there's 2 stories on the website called Bloody Mary Experience. They're not related. Anyway, Bloody Mary Experience 2. This is submitted by Victoria in Illinois, USA, February 2005. When I was a young girl, I would attend many sleepover parties. Because, I mean, that's what you do when you're a young girl, right?
I guess.
I guess you wouldn't know.
I never was a young girl.
That's true. As many young girls did, we would always play the game Bloody Mary. For people that do not know about this game, you go in front of a mirror, turn the lights out, and repeat Bloody Mary a number of times. Supposedly, you see the image of Bloody Mary in the mirror, and if you do not either run or turn the lights on fast, she will stick her hands out from the mirror and scratch you.
Oh, so okay. So this is
Very
different.
dramatic.
Scratching you.
Yeah, I
versus...
mentioned in the episode about her pulling you into the mirror. But
right.
Yeah, she could also just scratch you.
Okay. Variation.
Right. Well, of course, this never worked for us. Until one day.
Oh, God. That's the way it always starts.
I'm now in college. I went home for Christmas break to visit my best friend since first grade. I ended up staying the night at her house. We were just remembering all the good times we had as kids and all the silly things we used to do. During this discussion, we got on the topic of how we used to play Bloody Mary and how stupid it was since it never worked. We decided to play the game again, for old time's sake.
No.
We went into her bathroom, shut the door, and turned the lights off. Her bathroom had no windows in it, so it was witch black in the room. I like that, witch black.
Witch black.
It's darker than pitch black. We could not even see our hands in front of our faces. I don't understand why people are doing Bloody Mary in pitch black rooms like this, but anyway.
I don't know, maybe it works.
Maybe that's what we should have done.
Maybe we had too much light.
We had made too much light. We held hands and began repeating Bloody Mary. I'm not sure on the exact number of times we repeated it, but I would say about 10. Then something appeared in the mirror. It was not a face of Bloody Mary at all. What appeared in the mirror was a green triangle.
What?
The triangle started out small and grew larger. We stopped repeating the line and just watched this triangle grow in size, not sure what to think. We did not expect to see anything at all, especially not a triangle. If anything, we thought we would have seen Bloody Mary herself. I cannot say that I was very scared at the time, more like extremely confused and intrigued as to why we were seeing a triangle. I would say we just stared into the mirror in awe for about 30 seconds. All of a sudden, I felt something grab my arm and I screamed. My friend started screaming too and turned on the light, opened the door, and pulled me out of the bathroom. We ran into her bedroom and just looked at each other. I asked her if she saw anything. She too saw a green triangle that continued to get larger. She also felt someone grab her arm, which freaked her out and made her pull me out of the bathroom. We closed that bathroom door and did not go in it for the rest of the night. To this day, she will not use that bathroom if she does not have to. That bathroom is now always colder than the rest of the house, which it never was before. Nothing else happened, but I definitely think that this was a very, very strange experience. I don't know if there is a connection at all between Bloody Mary and a triangle, but that is what happened. Although this story may be a little strange, it is all very true.
Now that's weird.
It's interesting when people see things that, and I have a story which I know we will cover in a future episode. It has nothing to do with Bloody Mary, but I have a story too where somebody swears what I saw was connected to this legend that everybody knows about. But when you hear what it is, you're like, what does that have to do with anything? So while I do think a green triangle in relation to Bloody Mary is very, very strange, I think, it's all about, you go in there expecting to see something. You might see something, but it might not be what you expected to see.
I can see one person seeing a green triangle, like
but they
maybe
both
just
did, yeah.
But for both of them to see it, that's unusual. And then they both felt something grab them, which is I've never been grabbed by a triangle. Nor have I been grabbed by a face in the mirror. But again, you would sooner expect an evil face to grab you than a triangle.
Well, yeah, but then there's also, like sacred geometry and, all shapes have a meaning to them. And I guess depending on what orientation the triangle was, it quite possibly represented fire or water or something like that. Or maybe it represented something spiritual that maybe they weren't calling upon, this weird nebulous legend of Bloody Mary that's not actually based in anything, but they were putting out some kind of a call to something energetic, something spiritual. And that's what responded. Since Bloody Mary is, I'm not saying that the act of performing the Bloody Mary ritual isn't true. I'm saying there's not a Bloody Mary person, demon spirit thing that we're calling to, right? It's just an outpouring of...
It's just an intention.
It's an intention, like
it's
a
an
request for something spiritual to happen.
Right.
And that's the spiritual thing that responded to that call.
Anyway, that's very, very interesting.
Yeah. So it was different, but I thought it was definitely worth sharing. So I think that's all we have for this Extrasode. Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up, Vince?
Just beware of anybody that calls themselves Bloody Mary.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And, don't turn your back on the mirror just in case. It's not science. It's just in case. And we will see you next week for episode 16 of the Castle of Spirits podcast. Stay bloody, my friends.
Thank you.